Everyone, it's time for the question of the week. This week's question was talking about MAC makeup because I was just really curious to know, what portion of my audience uses MAC makeup, though I realize not everybody goes to my blog and answers the question, but a lot of you do, and I really appreciate that. I actually had 505 votes on this one, so that was awesome, and I'll go through kind of what the breakdown was. The question was, how much MAC makeup do you own? And the largest portion, 41%, said none. Okay, so that was the biggest amount of answers, and then 38% said between 1 and 10 items. That would be the category I fall into, and then it just kind of went down from there. Actually, 9% said between 10 and 20. 3% said between 20 and 30 items. Only 1% said between 30 and 40, and then 5% said more than 40. So it's kind of going like this, really high, down, and then a little bit up at the end. So I've got some like people that really just have none of it, or people that have very little of it. That's kind of up high, and then down from there. So I just thought that would be interesting just for my own knowledge, to see how much you guys care about that. And just because you don't have it doesn't mean you don't care about it. So I just thought I would take this opportunity to show you my extremely small MAC collection, which was pretty much covered in one of my recent hauls. But I want to use this as a chance to kind of review those things as well, and just tell you what I think about them and how I like them. And it won't take very long because it's not a very big collection for me. And for me, the fact that it's not big is not because I don't like the stuff or think I will like certain things. It's simply a combination of things. Number one, I don't have access to a store where I can see this stuff in person. Yes, I can always order online, but I just don't, haven't had that access in the place that I live. So that's number one. And number two is that I do oftentimes, more expensive makeup purchases are the more infrequent makeup purchases for me. They're usually gifts or, just something I buy on occasion. I don't go buy them a lot. So anyway, enough babbling about that. I'll go ahead and tell you about the makeup that I do have and what I think about it. So the first thing is this MAC Studio Fix, and it is the pressed powder. And so this opens up like so, and you've got the powder here. My shade there is NC40, and you get the little, spongy puff thing there. So I've used this, I got this initially as a nice powder that I thought I could use for work to control shine and things like that. I had used it quite a few times, and honestly I felt like it was a little heavy, especially considering the fact that I wear a liquid foundation pretty much daily for work. So using that on top of it was probably part of the reason that it felt pretty heavy on my skin. But I've worn it alone as well, and I wasn't totally thrilled with the way it came off over time. I thought initially I liked the way it looks, and then I thought, I was either getting a little oily in some places, or just things that I wasn't normally noticing about my skin were coming out, and it didn't break me out or cause any irritation. But it just didn't wear quite as well as some of my cheaper products. And I don't usually use the puff or the little sponge here. I usually will swirl a fluffy brush in this and use that. So I think if you use it lightly, maybe, you're going to be okay. But some things that are comparable to this, I think, well, it's a loose powder, but I feel like it gives a similar finish, only it doesn't do anything weird throughout the day, and that's the Mary Kay loose powder. I use it in Beige One, and it is great. I use that on a daily basis after my foundation, and it sets it and it keeps it nice all day, I feel like. That's what I wore today over my foundation. So that's something that's good. Also, I really like L'Oreal True Match pressed powder. I think my color there is Sun Beige, and I use that. Usually that's like my little touch-up thing I do right before I go on for the news, and that has great coverage without really making anything look cakey or weird or you know, changing textures on your face throughout the day. So those are a couple of, I guess, less expensive options to this. I mean, just for the similar effect. One, if you're looking for that pressed powder aspect, and one if you maybe just stick a big brush in this and enjoy the setting effect of a powder, then the Mary Kay might be a good one for you where that is concerned. And I'm not talking the mineral Mary Kay stuff. I haven't tried that. I'm talking just the old Mary Kay loose powder. It's good stuff. But anyway, moving on from the Studio Fix, I'll talk about my paint pot that I have. This is one of the star products for me. I have this in Rubenesque, that's the shade, and since I've been using this for a couple of weeks now, I have really fallen in love with this product because it does extend the wear of my eyeshadows so much. I feel like it's a great base. It makes the color of my shadow stand out really well, especially when I'm going for like a warm, you know, kind of goldeny look on the lids. I think it's really nice for that, though it can work with really pretty much any color and just make it look really pretty. So a paint pot would be a good investment, I think, because I feel like this is going to last me a really long time. So kind of an added bonus there with that product. So I've been really, really happy with the paint pot. Just staying power is terrific, and just the color and the way it helps the shadows stand out is nice too. If you're thinking, okay, what's comparable to this on a lower end, I would have to say there's something very unique about this, I guess. It's kind of like the texture. If you put your finger on this, the texture's pretty firm, okay? When you get it on your finger, it's not like a super moist product. It's kind of actually a very, very light and sheer cream. You don't just dip your finger into it, get a big glob and put it on. It's very like you sweep your finger through it and you've got a light sheer coating. And there's very few things that are similar to that texture, I feel like, although the Revlon cream shadows, if you use them in a very thin layer, I always stress this with cream shadows, but use it thin. Those or the e.l.f. ones, if you can keep that thin on your lid. This tends to be thin naturally. Other things tend to goop up just a little bit on your finger, so just, you know, apply it very sheer, very light, and it will help out any powder shadows you put on top of it. So moving on from there, I have two MAC eyeshadows. One is in Naked Lunch, and it is this really pretty light highlight shade. It's a frost, so it's got a little bit of shimmer to it. And then I have this shade in Sketch, which is a nice, as you can see, sort of plummy brown. It's a velvet texture, which I really like that texture. And it's got a slight, I don't want to say sparkle, but just a very, very fine shimmer to that. So I enjoy both of these very much. I think they work nice side by side, doing the Naked Lunch on the lid and then Sketch in the crease. These really are great. People say they love MAC shadows, and some people have very large collections. I'm sure the people who said they had more than 40 items probably had a ton of MAC shadows, and they really are as good as people say they are. I definitely stand by that. I mean, I love this. This is just great, you know. One sweep of your finger and you've got plenty of product on there, you know. That's great. This shade is gorgeous. So as far as the shades go, I can't say enough about them. However, I compare like this Sketch shade. This is nice. I really like using it in the crease, but then I think back to my Smashbox shadows, which I actually have a decent amount of Smashbox eyeshadows, which are fairly expensive, and I mean, definitely that's a high-end makeup brand, and I feel like those sometimes have better color payoff. I don't know. I just noticed that. Like, I'm getting ready before the show and I'm putting some of this on, and, you know, yeah, that looks great, but then I dip into the Smashbox if I use that on a different day, and it's like, wow, okay, I didn't have to hardly do anything with my brush in that. You know, it just gave a great amount of color. So, I don't know. I think Smashbox, if you haven't checked out their shadows, I think they're very good. Granted, I have only tried 2, so I still think they're great. I'm just saying there's something comparable out there, but it's still a high-end version. So, you know, as far as low-end drugstore makeup that's close to MAC, I think Milani. I think I have quite a few Milani singles that seem to sort of rival this kind of texture that is very soft. It doesn't take a lot of doing to get it on your skin, but these are great. So basically, I love these eye products that I have, and this is kind of on the fence about, but I'll still use it. I'll find a way to use it. I just use it very, very lightly. But as far as the Studio Fix goes. But that is my little MAC collection. I can hold it in 2 hands. So, and like once again, it's not to say I don't like it, it's just I haven't had a lot of access to it. I don't buy a ton of high-end stuff, but I hope maybe this informed you just a little bit from a drugstore, generally a drugstore makeup person's point of view, just what I think about these things and how they compare. And feel free to share your feedback and your thoughts and your experiences with MAC makeup. I'd love to hear about it. So thanks so much, guys, for watching. Have a great day.